Hi, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to welcome you all to the CyberXcelerator graduation day. It has been 5 months since we started the program, and now we have a final celebration. CyberXcelerator is a program that we as Startup Wise Guys do together with CDP and our partners Entity Data, Leonardo, Italgas, and University of Calabria. And we have startups that you will see also later on. But before we kick off, I would like to open the event with some welcome words from our CEO, Cristobal Alonso.
Thank you, Gita. Thank you, everyone. It's interesting how the last 2 years we keep adapting different formats. We're fully online, on-site, online, hybrid. So today is a good combination. We're here physically, a lot of the startups, a lot of the hosts from NTT, many of you online. So welcome, everybody. It feels good. Many of you know that this is our 10th year. We're about to invest in our 300th startup, but it feels always refreshing. It is our first accelerator related to cybersecurity in Italy, our third batch that we do it after our 2 batches with SAS Milan. And I wanted to just maybe reflect only in 3 items or in three topics. The first one is the importance of cybersecurity. I think the events of the war in Ukraine, if you keep reading the news, you see that every day cyber attacks is on the news. Nobody is actually protected. This is a matter for governments, it's a matter for enterprises, a matter for SMBs, a matter for consumers. So I think what our startups are doing, it matters for all of us. It cannot be that cybersecurity is this black box. It's part of our life, and it will become more and more important. The second one is a bit of an amazing feeling. We've been blessed because this batch managed to get together already twice physically. We met in Milan, we met in Cosenza. So we planned to do this online. It was an amazing feeling to get all the startups. And remember, we have startups from Mexico, startups from Dubai, startups from Switzerland, from Italy, of course, from Australia, Paul. I said, no, we want to get together. So many of them fly in, take trains to be together. It's amazing how the feeling of family, despite the change of formats, despite spending a lot of the time online, keeps being one of the drivers of Startup Wise Guys. And the network that they build together will be an asset for them in the future because there will be high and lows. And their colleagues, the other startups, will be there to support them. The third one, which is always the best one, is our team. Is having the opportunity to have a Gita, Monica driving the train, Farid supporting it, Andrea in Italy, and many of the Wise Guys family that has been supporting the program. That what at the end of the day makes a big difference. And that's what will make a big difference in our next 300 startups and our next accelerators. Last but not least, we're already recruiting for the next program. Our best teams always come from our network. So if any of you have met a cyber team, please make sure that they come to us. So don't want to be any longer talking. Wanted to give the floor to our partner, who was excited from day one about doing something in cybersecurity together in Italy. I believe he's joining on the window from Rome, Stefano Molino, the head of Accelerator Fund, CDP Venture Capital. Stefano, the floor, the window, the online world is yours right now.
Yes. So hello everyone. Hi Cristobal. I hope you can hear me. So it's a real pleasure to be here today, even if I'm connected online. I was willing to be actually with you guys in Milan within the entity office. But still, it's a pleasure to be here today. I think it's very important to celebrate this first batch of the CyberXcelerator program, which, as you may know, is part of a network of vertical acceleration program we are launching in the country. I'm particularly happy this program has been launched in Cosenza in the south of Italy, which is one of the areas where it's important to continue to invest in foster innovation when there is a lot of talent that is coming also from the university, from the local research center, and Entity Data is a very relevant player in the area. We are very happy to work with Leonardo, with Italgas, and particularly with Startup Wise Guys, which we share with Startup Wise guys this effort to really helping startup to enter in the market, to strengthen their innovation, to strengthen their business model, and we hope that will be a real opportunity for them to grow. We are more than happy to, let's say, be part of this project and continue to invest in the best startup that will come out from the program in the next few months, which is part of our strategy. And I think also we're totally aligned with CertaWise guys in this effort, in this endeavor. So I think it's a great opportunity, a great honor for me to celebrate this peculiar moment. One other point I would like to underline is the fact that this batch of startup is a very international batch. We have Italian startup, but we have also international startup that are willing to come in Italy and to create the opportunity to also develop their business in Italy, which I think is also very important, because one of the goals that we have is to be able to attract talent, which is extremely important to create the condition for the ecosystem to grow. So a really good welcome and warm welcome to all the startups, which are the real players and actor of this day. So I'm really happy to be part of this project. I wish all the best to all the startup presenting for this event today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefano. But before I let you actually hear the startups, I want to tell you a little bit more about the program itself and what they have been going through. Before that, also kind of a little bit of the backstory about the Startup Wise Guys and maybe why we do the program. So as Cristobal mentioned, we recently celebrated a 10-year anniversary. And I think since 2012, we already we had the mission in mind. And I think it hasn't changed over the 10 years. So our mission has always been help founders become entrepreneurs and also build great sustainable international tech companies. And it's super important. I think the only thing that has been changed is that we added the word sustainable there. But for 10 years, this has been our mission. And I really hope, and I think that the batch that we are finishing now and we're celebrating now will also join as an entrepreneur to our portfolio. But kind of, as I promised, a little bit of the story, what actually startups were doing before you see them on the stage here. So it all started 5 months ago, pretty much almost 5 months ago, on November 8th, 2021. And it was all, as Cristobal already mentioned, we have the team behind it, and I have these all lovely people helping to set up the batch. Cristobal, Farid, you will also meet him later here. Also Monica, who's running everything on the background and helping the startups. And we also have our product team, Santiago and Lauma. So, and of course, the whole Wise Guys team as well. So a big thank you from me for having this batch and building the program together. But it's not only us. So we selected 8 startups. And also, as Stefano mentioned earlier, it's a quite international batch. So we have more than 6 countries. And I'm counting here the nationalities of the founders. Also, they are represented in each different country, not always in their base country. So it's more than 6 countries, which brings us to a large network of 19 founders and a lot of employees as well. And that is a value that also during the program, not only the mentors, but also startups bring to each other. Here you can see the lovely logos. I will not go into the details. You will have a chance to hear everything from them. But remember them. You also have a chance to meet them later if you wish to. Whoever wants to meet startups later, I will explain you how to do it. So what do we do when we started the program? It started online. A couple of startups also were in person. We did an offsite. Then we moved back online again. But we came back in Italy, in Cosenza, for a little bit more than a week for our progress day. That's the middle point of the program where actually startups check in what they have achieved so far and what they can actually do from there on. And then we are here, April 5, graduation day. We are here in Milan and also online. There are a lot of things and a lot of topics that we are covering during the program to help the startups grow and develop, but you can categorize them in the 4 different focus areas. So there's, of course, the company building, We also focus a lot on the sales, because that's the main important goal for every business. And of course, also pitching, because you have to be able to explain to everyone what you are doing. And of course, fundraising as well, because startups need fundraising. Couple of other things. We did a lot of market sprints. We did the design sprints. It's a full week events, working from 9 to 6. And some of us actually worked, like our team from Australia worked also during the night. We also had a batch offsite with our neighbors, SaaS Milan batch. We did Cosenza visit. And that resulted into several things. So you can see also the numbers, because it's more than 65 mentors meeting the startups during the workshops and one-on-one mentoring. And also that is almost 300 hours spent on workshops, on hands-on training, and also more than 150 one-on-one sessions where startups get a chance to talk to each mentor individually for at least half an hour. So that's a lot of content. This is a little bit just so you to see what we have done so far. We have done some Zoom calls. We have also done some in-person meetings. We have played some poker. And some highlights have been also that you have to squeeze the pitch into the 3 minutes, which is not always the easiest. But now, that's what we have done so far. That's a lot of content, but I want to go into a couple of details before we move to the next thing. So what's going to happen today? So you will hear 3 different panels, each moderated by Cristobal, Farid, and me, with 2 or 3 startups around different topics. And also afterwards, so they will not pitch, they will do the elevator pitch, but we want to show you actually what they do, their experience and their skills. However, those like investors who are listening to us or whoever wants to meet with the startups afterwards on one-on-ones to talk with them more, if you feel like you can help them also besides investing, you will get a chance. So if you have registered on the Eventbrite for the event, you will receive a link to see everything about the startups. You can also request, so you can message us. You can message on the, I think, social media channels if you want to request this information, and we'll be happy to share it with you. You will receive more information. You will see also the pitches, and you will also have a link to book meetings with the startup. And I think, am I missing something?
Nope.
No questions. So we will be moderating the panels, but the audience who are listening will also have a chance to ask questions. So if you have a question to any of the startups, type it in the chat. I think you're listening on YouTube, and we will try to ask them in live.
We'll try.
We'll try. But that's it.
Yeah. Remember, we have 30 seconds delay. So even if you ask a question, it might take a minute or 2 to get to us. So, real time minus 30 seconds.
That's why we try.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think me and Cristobal will leave the stage soon. And I would like to announce the first panel, moderated by Program Director of the Cyber Batch and my colleague, Farid Singh.
Thanks a lot, Gita and Cristobal. Okay, I'm gonna finally relax and take it easy now, right? That's what we're supposed to do. But for the next 15 minutes, we're gonna speak to some of our amazing startups. My name is Farid, and I'm gonna try my best to entertain you, give you some insights, and with the help of the startups, make the next 15-20 minutes memorable. We've got 3 startups with us today. I want to start with the first one. This particular startup, Gita already mentioned, they've literally been burning midnight oil. And the really cool thing about our program in CyberXcelerator, in the cyber vertical, is a very international program. And this particular startup has been joining us from Australia, working there 9 to 5 with the startups, and then joining us after that. So it's incredible to see their dedication, their persistence, and their determination. So I'm glad that they're here with us, not in person yet, but online. I love to get Paul from Trudexia to join us virtually. Paul, I hope you can hear us.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect, fantastic. Now it's great to have you here. You're obviously on the other side of the world. But I'd love for you to spend the next 30 seconds to tell us a little bit about what Trudexia does.
Yeah, thank you, Fareed. 84% of experts realize that vendor risk is the biggest threat to organizations. And so for our customers, whether it's banks who are trying to keep our money safe or critical infrastructure keeping the country safe, our platform was built to allow managers and cybersecurity experts like me to model and assess the risks that come from those vendors that are trusted. So Trudexia builds a profile of every single vendor, and we model every single risk with a focus on the business critical criteria. Yeah, and we made this from my experience and my co-founder's experience of 20 years in cybersecurity, and we've created a SaaS engine to power the vendor risk assessments that Trudexia conducts.
Fantastic, Paul. Thanks a lot. And it's really important because most of the time when we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about what you can do as an organization. But you're surrounded by organizations, vendors, partners who may or may not have the same level of cybersecurity. So I think this is a fantastic space to be. And we'll talk to you a little bit more when the panel starts. Our next startup, we've known these guys for, as Cristobal would mention it, way too long. And this is a perfect example of Wise Guys and its network. A lot of our startups come recommended from partners, from mentors, and we've been working with Ashraf and Amjad for 2 years now, and they've gone through various programs, and through persistence, dedication, they finally joined us 5 months ago in our CyberXcelerator full-time program. So I'd love to call Ashraf on stage from Octopus Security, or cybersecurity, as you mentioned it. So welcome on stage, Ashraf. Thanks for joining us here. I know you've taken a long flight to be here. Before we start the panel, I'd love for you to tell us what Octopus Cybersecurity does in about 30 seconds, please.
Sure. So what we actually do is that Octopus is specifically designed for IT risk managers to de-risk their jobs. And even with all the manuals and the digital transformation that have came up to design a cybersecurity platform, the need to be proactive is a must now. And by saying proactive, we need to make sure that all the configurations that are done, whether on firewalls, on load balancers, and any IT security device is a must. And this is where Octopus comes in. And we stand out by having this automated with and validated with the built-in templates. And this is all gathered by subject matter experts from all over, all the vendors that are supporting us and our backend developers. And definitely one of the strongest things that Octopus is proud of is the brotherhood along with my co-founder, Amjad, who have been more than 15 years in this field. And we have worked together, and we really complement each other's strengths.
All right, thanks a lot,
Thank
Ashraf.
you.
I mean, here the really interesting part for me is the fact somebody once told me early on that IT and cybersecurity are completely different, and a lot of times we confuse folks who have IT knowledge to be cybersecurity experts as well. So I think this is a fantastic way to kind of offload some of that requirement that they have from IT folks in companies and enterprises, and actually give them a base level of security and automating it, I think, which is really cool. So thanks for joining us. Our third and final panelist today, I mean, I don't know how to introduce Andrea. He always walks into the room and holds everyone's attention. But Andrea from Cyber Angels from Italy, and I'd love to welcome you over here, Andrea, as well. And when we met Andrea initially, we've had a few companies that have come with a similar product, a similar service, but there's something very unique about Cyber Angels. And I'm going to tell you after Andrea introduces his company for 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you what I think that uniqueness is. So Andrea, over to you.
Thanks, Fareed. Yes, in fact, also listening to Amjad, we have a different perspective of the cybersecurity. We think that cybersecurity should be easy for everyone. So we make it our mission. So Cyber Angels provide a self-service all-in-one solution to help SMBs to reduce by 90% cyber risk without hiring or becoming expert or breaking the bank. So easy from Milan, Cyber Angels.
Thanks a lot, Andrea. And to me, what's interesting is that I've seen a lot of platforms like this that tell you whether you're secure or not. But what I like about CyberAngels is that it lets you follow up, it lets you improve, and it lets you basically build up that cybersecurity for businesses, whether it's small businesses, enterprises, one-man shop. You're always at risk, right? So I think it's really amazing that you have this kind of complete end-to-end ability to know and to fix in some ways, right? So that's fantastic. So again, welcome to the panel. And a couple of things I wanted to mention right now is that for all of you who are watching us on YouTube, you can send us questions. I have my phone here, and I'm not going to be looking at Instagram. I'll be looking at the questions you're going to be sending me. So don't all of you go ahead and send the questions straight away, but if you send them, I'll answer them. We'll ask the panelists some stuff. The other couple of things that I mentioned to you as well, if you're an investor, if you are a company that suddenly find any of these topics interesting, you can reach out to us. If you've signed up as an investor, you can obviously get all the information about Traction, what these guys do, how to get in touch with them, pilots, the whole shebang. You can get that after this particular show. So let's start the panel. We've kind of spent the time trying to get to know you guys. So my first question is I always love to ask all my startups, why did you guys start your particular startup? Like, why do this? It's a really hard thing to do, right? So I'm going to start, because Andrea came in last, I'm going to start with Andrea. Why did you guys start CyberAngels?
Yeah, well, in my career, I was an entrepreneur before startup startupping CyberAngels. So I had a company of more or less 70 people, and 3 years ago we suffered an attack, and so we talked with security provider and also insurance brokers to tell me how to do and what to do, but everything was really difficult to understand to me because I'm not an expert. So this is the reason why we decide to identify some business model to help people like me to be protected.
That's fantastic. It's always interesting because people only realize it once they've been breached, what to do or what not to do or what to do next, right? Ashur, what about you? How did you guys get started?
Well, I'll just say it in fun fact that happened all over the 10 years in our experience, either myself or my co-founder, Amjad. What we always get from the customers that we worked with, that there something happened in their network devices. And the first question I always ask them, what configuration has changed? And the always answer was nothing. And after full day of troubleshooting, we find always that there is something that changed and that created that crisis. So apparently that concept has came into life. With Octopus, we're automating it, we're validating it, and we're giving real-time analysis. And instead of taking to 1 day for troubleshooting, we're solving it in almost real time.
So both of you guys started with like personal experiences, personal incidents, right? I want to now move to Paul. Now, Paul, I have the same question for you, but what I really want to know from you as well is like, what's changed since you started? So, you guys are on the other side of the world. I don't know, where sunrise, sunset there now. So tell us a little bit how you started and what's changed in the past besides the pandemic and, the war right now.
Yeah, great question. What's changed is I've been working through the night on Italian time, as you've mentioned. But, so much has changed, particularly in the space, cyber attacks. They're on the rise. We've been watching this trend for many, many years. It's been spoken about for many years. But this year, really, with the heightened geopolitical events, cyber war is becoming real. And that directly impacts on the risks and events that we've heard of from the other guys, but it really impacts on vendor risk. And I guess that's what's so exciting about the time that we live in at the moment.
And from your experience in the region that you're in, have you seen an increase in vendor risk incidents or breaches or companies actually becoming quite wise about it and taking action?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Whenever I speak to a customer, they'll say the first question is, how many suppliers do you have? And they won't know. And if they do know, it's just the tip of the iceberg. vendor risk is prevalent everywhere. The cyber risks and the cyber war is increasing, and organizations, have a massive blind spot in this area.
And that's great. And like you said, it's increasing as well. My next question is more related to what you guys did in the last 6 months, right? So when you joined the Accelerator program, you knew, or we'd given you the brief of what was going to come your way. But I wanted to know from all three panelists, like, what was the thing that surprised you the most about the program, in a positive way, hopefully. But if it's negative, go ahead and tell everyone as well. And this time we'll start with Ashraf and go to Paul, and then follow up with Andrea.
Yes, indeed. And the most surprising thing actually came just a few minutes back, with Igita mentioning more than 250 workshops. And I think after the first week, I stopped counting the hours and the mentors. This is one of the big surprises, and it just now came up. The other one is what we have gave an effort in the product sprint. And 5 days of that sprint was really objective. We made a goal. We hit the target by having a full 5-day works, day and night, getting our goal achieved.
Yeah, and we always tell people that this acceleration program is not like any other acceleration program. You don't rock up on a Friday, do a one-to-one session, and go back home. You were really working 9 to 5 days a week, right? So that's interesting. Paul, what was besides the fact that you had to stay up all night? What was something that really surprised you about the last 6 months program, or otherwise?
Like you mentioned there, the people involved has been truly amazing. The enthusiasm by all the founders and mentors and the Startup Wise Guys team. But one of the things that the biggest learning really was the realization when I put all of these things that we learned together, Trajectia becomes not only a powerful proposition for customers, but a powerful business. And so I'm really looking forward to growing the business and just continuing the relationships with the mentors and the team. It's been great.
Yeah, and it's high risk for you as well, because you have customers in insurance and healthcare and airports. So you actually do have customers that value Trajectia, right? So I remember you mentioning that you studied or you attended the workshops at night, and then you could implement stuff during your 9 to 5. So a great way to do it. Over to you, Andrea. I mean,
yeah. Well, the first point is the same already mentioned, because before the mentorship, we met a lot of mentors, and these mentors help us to fill a huge amount of gap we had when we joined the program. And the second point to me is the people I met. I think in the future we can join part of them to have business together. So it was very, very interesting.
All right. Now I'm going to look for some questions. If any questions have come our way, I do have one particular question, which is quite the one that always gets asked. I'm just making sure. Yeah. And that's particularly, we have a lot of partners. We're lucky that this program has corporate partners. Igita mentioned a few of them. But one of the things that's always difficult is, how do corporates how do they work with startups? And more importantly, how do they work with cybersecurity startups? This is quite a tricky question. And I know that I didn't brief you guys on this earlier. So anybody got any good ideas on how corporates, and they're all in the room here, so maybe it'll help. How can they work with cybersecurity startups? Because they have risks as well, right? So they can't really put all their eggs in their one basket. So I'm going to start with Andrea. We're going to move to Paul after that, and then Ashraf, we're going to end with you.
Well, it's an interesting question, because in the future, I see the cybersecurity will be a sort of commodity, should be a sort of commodity for everyone. So we need to work together with corporate and not only tech corporate, but also with the insurers, in order to build a sort of ecosystem that can really support small and medium businesses to thrive with cybersecurity.
Great answer. I like the part you say it's become a commodity. I like to say it becomes invisible. It becomes so normal part of our lives, like fintech is. I keep saying this. 10 years ago, if somebody told me send money to my phone, I'd throw them out the room saying like, hey, you're crazy. But I think this is what's going to happen to cybersecurity, right? Paul, you obviously have a partner. You obviously have customers. who you've been selling to, who are corporates, who are businesses, enterprises. Any tips on how best corporates and enterprises and businesses can work with cybersecurity startups?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. It's working with startups is really easy. So, and that's no different in cybersecurity. I think every discipline across the organization must embrace some type of innovation at particular times with the right partners. And I think if you look at it from the perspective of an innovation, learning, and even got the great opportunity to work with startups who can flex in the way they deliver their services. So I think it's a great opportunity.
All right. Again, people say it's easy. Some people say it's tough. We don't know. We'll see what the future holds. Ashraf, it's interesting for you because you were on the other side. You used to work for a big system integrator before you started your company, right? So imagine somebody coming to you and saying, "Hey, take a bet on me as a cybersecurity startup," right? Would you have done it? What advice would you have?
Exactly. Like if you started earlier, you will see that it's challenging and people are not going into the cybersecurity, but the trends, everything that is happening, starting from the work from home to the recent situations that's happening, all require cybersecurity to be a main part of the corporate. And that's what is giving the opportunity for startups to work it out and to provide that benefit, whether it's for small, medium businesses or even for enterprise levels. And the actual cybersecurity spend in the past year was huge, and this brings out the need for startups to be more into cybersecurity. And as you mentioned, it will be the next fintech or the other e-commerce part.
So that's interesting. So one way or the other, we have to figure out how to make this work, and whether that's changing risk assessments, whether that's changing or having small bite-sized pieces of startups to work with, or if you wanted my advice, just acquire them. That's the best thing, if the time is right. We've been getting some questions, and I'm going to go. I mean, because we have so many questions and we have such amazing conversation. I have one last question which has been asked. So apologies if your question hasn't been asked from online. But this is a question kind of following into, we're graduating here. So what's your ambition for the next 3 years? What's going to happen? Open. Let's go with Paul because he's online, and then we can finish up in the studio over here.
Sure.
Oh, look, the future is very bright for Trudexia and for what we're doing in vendor risk assessments. So, the next 3 years is a rapid growth period throughout Europe and beyond. And
interesting because you are now launching in Europe as well, thanks to COVID kind of finally closing. So we do hope that it's a bright future, and you'll start affecting improving vendors over here. It is very much needed. So we'll be supporting you throughout that journey. Let's go with Ashraf, and then we'll close with Andrea.
Yeah, so we already put our feet in the Gulf region, and we started with multiple proof of concepts in the Gulf region. We're looking after in the next 3 months to the market expansion. And Europe definitely is one of the key areas that we're looking after. Cybersecurity is everywhere. It's not just in a single corporate or a country. Regulations are everywhere with all the trends that are coming. So we're looking to have Octopus cybersecurity in Europe, in US, even globally, everywhere.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And Andrea, over to you. You have a lot of, let's say, weight on your shoulder. Small and medium businesses rely on you from going forward. And, what's your ambition?
To serve. Yeah, my first ambition is to be the #1 solution for non-technical SMBs, non-technical people in the SMBs. To do this, we would like to spread our level 1 protection that is the easiest that we can provide, a monthly report to assess the risk report, to the cyber risk, to all Europe. So we'll start with UK next month, Spain in the second half of the year, and hope to hit 2,000 customers before 2033.
Awesome. So everybody's talking about growth. Everybody's still talking about cybersecurity becoming quite integral. So I'm hoping that all these ambitions come through. You know that Wise Guys is going to be with you throughout that journey. Once you join the program, you're part of us. We're going to be rooting for you. My clock also tells me that we're pretty much out of time. So what I'm going to do, before I say thank you to all of you, I'm going to say, you've already met 3 of our amazing startups. You've seen how from different parts of the world they are. If you know of any interesting cybersecurity, AI startups, defense startups, make the introduction, send an email to any one of us. We'll reach out to them personally. It's a very difficult space. One of the things that they don't tell you is that being a founder of a cybersecurity startup is super difficult, more difficult than anything you can imagine. So everything that we can do to accelerate them, help them, we're going to try and do that, right? And investors, if you want to go talk to them, help them, invest in them, or just mentor them, again, feel free to get in touch with them. Now. And with that, I want to thank all the startups. I want to thank Andrea. I want to thank Paul all the way from Australia. It's like midnight over you for there in Australia, and Ashraf for coming down here. Thanks a lot for joining us. And what we're going to do, this was mentioned earlier, it is Wise Guys' 10th year anniversary. So we've been going for 10 years. This amazing swag that you see me wear, this is limited edition. You can buy it, 10-year anniversary. But we're also going to tell you what this means. So we have a little video for you to show you what this journey is, because in the end, we're a startup as well. We're super proud of the team. We're super proud of what we've managed to achieve, everybody over here. So thanks a lot. And sit tight, enjoy the video, and we'll come in with the next panel after that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keywords that comes to my mind about Startup Wise Guys: passion,
controlled chaos,
hardworking, and
tough love. A human-centered organization.
It's always a great challenge.
no limits,
And it's a community of friends.
fast-paced and dynamics. Founders first.
and promising,
Meow, 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 and meow.
over delivering,
Inspiration, freedom.
Zillions of hugs.
and minestrone soup. Go figure.
So when I started with Startup Wise Guys, I never thought that I would become a member of a family with 22 nationalities.
That so many people could align themselves towards making more impact, towards helping founders, and towards having such a great time doing something that they love.
Couldn't believe that in 4 years I will join the team as a general partner, having my own skin in the game.
I never thought that I'm going to be a part of 2 different departments within half a year probably, and that is going to become my big family.
That we're going to be operating in Africa. And actually, I never thought I would have so many red dresses in my closet.
I never thought that I will meet so many people with a great and connecting mission and passion.
That will be able to get more than 55 people so passionate, like-minded, fun, and driven to make the next decade even better than the first decade.
Never thought that I could have managed to have a boss who says
Meow, meow, meow,
what the
meow,
and still is managing to get everybody engaged on the same page.
Wishing you all the best from the bottom of my heart.
I wish you to keep being red, passionate, long-term focus, impacting beyond Europe, Africa to more continents, and really helping this planet achieve CO2 reductions in the next decade.
To never, ever lose our good vibes and our values as we grow.
Just to keep loving people with the number of that is growing.
And I wish all of with us on this journey to get a chance and the opportunity to explore the universe together with us. Big kiss, everybody.
I wish that after a couple of years, every accelerator in the world will say that, oh, the Star Wars guys, they're fucking cool. I want to be like them.
That for hundreds of decades, when the Startup Wise Guys lost, we will have this connecting vision in our people. So happy birthday! Yoo-hoo!
I really hope that there's another 100 years of this to come.
Happy birthday!
Welcome back after the break. Hope you enjoy the meows. Now you know what is the most used word in Startup Wise Guys. I will try not to use it today. When we first brought this team on board, I remember Gita told me that somebody invited me to go to a museum. I said, well, that's a very charming way to have a scouting call. Soon I realized that it was not just a charming call or a nice place to meet, but was actually the customer in this case. But Mauricio, I think you can actually, explain what you guys do and what are museums coming into your picture.
Of course. I think that everyone thinks that art and culture should last forever. Sculpture, paintings, we are in Italy, we have a lot of stuff. And you think, okay, they will be here also for my nephew. But it's not like that. It's not true. To make them last together to forever, you have to work and to work very hard. And so basically is what we are doing with the Radium Chain. We are supporting our customer to make all their artworks to live forever. Basically, we make 3D scan very frequently in high definition of all their collection. Then we certify everything on the blockchain, and we use artificial intelligence from one scan to another of the same artwork to understand if there is any difference, any kind of degradation signals, okay? And this is the first part. Moreover, there is another important part that is, okay, but they need a lot of money also for restoration sometimes. And this is a very big problem in Italy, for example, okay? So basically, we support them through always starting from the blockchain using NFT to collect money for this activity. So we support them in making their artworks live forever, basically.
Good. We will talk about the NFT part a bit more.
Of course.
A bit more in detail. But let me get the next gentleman coming on the stage. I don't know why. Every time I talk to Loris, I get the social network movie image. I see Justin Timberlake playing Sean Parker as the Napster CEO. The funny part is that you're actually trying to kill the new Napsters of the world. But I hope you can get to that level. I don't know if Justin Timberlake or Sean Parker. But, what do you guys really do in code?
By the way, I love that movie. I used to watch it once per year. Code
You were born? You were born when the movie was started?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm turning 30 in 1 month, so for sure.
Then yes,
Code RTD is an Italian cybersecurity startup, and we want to fight digital piracy by collecting legal evidence of copyright infringement and by preventing illegal sharing on video sharing platform, YouTube, for example, and on social network, Facebook or Meta, for example. We think that, content creators, production companies need to protect properly their content because it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about everybody. When we talk about videos, we are surrounded by videos from the morning until the evening. So it's about everybody.
What has happened? So this is a problem that we were talking about 2010 movie. We're talking about Napsters. This is decades already happening. What's happening? Why now? Is something in technology and consumers changing that said, let's do something new?
Yeah, the market is going in the right direction because of the copyright reform, the recent approval of Digital Market Act and the next Digital Service Act is going to be something, huge for the big tech companies. Because when we talk about, let's say, history, it's about Silicon Valley, big tech companies. But when we talk about the real game, it's about Europe. And all the laws are coming from the European market. So it's something is changing, and it's going to be something huge in 2023.
Remember, you already said huge twice. I hope you bring me huge objectives for 2025 already on this one. Talking about huge, Mauricio, you've been selling to decades, centuries old institutions like museums.
Yeah.
And now you're selling innovation. How do you do that? How do you create a sense of urgency that after centuries they need to become extremely innovative and not only do 3D, do NFTs? So how do you do that? How do you engage them? How do you start these conversations?
I think this is the probably most tough part of our job. And basically what the point is that they do feel that there is a pain, a problem that they need to solve, but approaching in the traditional way, they are not able to solve it. So basically what we do is we try always to say, okay, you remember that, for example, there was traditional stamps for some event and you sell it and so on. Okay, Now there are new kind of stamps that you can sell to collect money. They are called NFT, okay? And you have to, previously you were working with some experts to understand if the artwork was in the bad condition. Okay, now I can support you scanning very fast 1,000 of artworks, and then you can call your expert just on the one where there is a problem, okay? And when you start working in this way and you start discussing with them, they start understanding that there is something that is really related to them, but they need to approach in a different way. And this is the way where we start talking about.
When did you, NFTs, you've been running this or trying to run with these museums for a number of years already. When did you put the NFT in the picture?
We are, when we started speaking about NFT, okay, we started basically in last year. Yeah. Because we have been working a lot on NFT, thinking about them, but the traditional NFT, so you make one NFT of one artworks and then you try to sell for a very high value. This is interesting, but it's not very appreciated by our customers that usually are institutional one. So they say, you are selling our artworks, is not good. So we create a different kind of NFT. We have been designing it to say, okay, let's find a way to sell it in a more democratic way. Let's create 1,000 million of NFT of each artwork so that anyone that go and come, that visit the museum can buy at least one somewhere. So it's not something that you are selling to the most rich people in the world. It's something that they can still buy them if they buy, I don't know, 1,000 of them, but everyone can buy it. And in this way, we have found the correct trade-off between the NFT market and the needs of our customers.
Loris, you told me you want to have a deal with YouTube in the next 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you going to do that? You're starting one of the earliest teams. You've done a humongous progress in the last 3-4 months. But how do you envision the journey, especially going abroad, right?
Dealing with YouTube, it's something incredible and also very, very difficult. With ISMA, our long-term view is to prevent illegal sharing. So at a certain point, we have to speak with YouTube for sure, 100%. We want to give our filtering algorithm for free to them to avoid huge fines. So in some ways, we want to solve one of their problem. But to get their attention, we are going to bring to the market the private room service this summer. And we're going to help production companies and content creators by giving them a full report digitally signed. So to get YouTube, we are going to launch first the private room. So this is our main strategy.
How do you manage this excitement? You want to launch, but you have to wait until the summer. How are you managing the journey?
It was an incredible journey because compared to the other startup, we are pretty young right now. The team is starting the development, but we are already talking for paying POC with a potential customer, and it's a very, very important video-on-demand platform. So on that side, can be for us a huge market validation because the big name in the video-on-demand platform market is Netflix in a long-term view. So we studied how to do it, how to have a right sales cycle, sales process. It's not so easy because we have to do a lot of things at the same time. But I think we're going in the right direction.
Okay, so 2025, I'm buying dinner if you have Netflix and YouTube as customers. If not, you're buying dinner. That's good. I think it's a good agreement. Talking about 2025, which 2 or 3 museums you would love to work with? They say, I dream to really work with these guys or to make something special with them.
I have to say that probably in my top list, there is for sure Musei Vaticani.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then the British Museum in London. And I would really love to work also with MoMA in New York.
Okay.
These are my top in the world. But of course, the point is that now we are discovering also with small museum in Italy, we have a lot of stuff that is incredible, but just because it's not on the main street, okay, then you lost it. And this is something that we are working on. It's really nice.
That's the route to market, maybe international markets, to start with the smaller collections and then go to the big ones? How are you seeing the market acceptance? Is it to start small or big?
We are trying to go on both of them because we know that up to now, we are already working with big museums. And little by little, well, for example, if you are a sponsor of an exhibition and there are a lot of artworks coming from abroad for big museum, they can see how you work and they say, okay, why don't you come and speak with me? So there are several ways. The main problem sometimes is this institution, they take a little while to go from when they start talking up to the contract, but we are in the correct way.
Let's go the final part. Let's go about the personal experience. How have you changed in the last 6 months?
The Startup Wise Guys program was, a very important point for Code RTD. It's not just about finding the first investor. It's about the mentors, the advisors. They taught us how to think, how to build a pitch, how to create a common vision, and how to build a strong tech team. We talked with great advisors, and we changed our way of doing things daily. Our main goal is to become an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur right now. I'm trying to go in the right direction. It's just, a beginning of a journey. Let's say 30, 40, 50 years journey. I don't know, but it's just the beginning. But it was an amazing experience.
Your biggest challenge, or were you trying to overcome as a CEO, as a manager, as a leader?
Go in the international market as soon as possible, because starting from Italy, it's incredible and at the same time very, very, very difficult. And we want to go abroad. The European market is very, very important. Also the US market, because if we have to deal with that kind of companies, we have to go abroad.
And for yourself, you guys have been running for longer. How was the journey in the program?
I have to say that in these years, we have made more than one program, okay? But as I told you before, this one was really great for us. I think that here there is a network that is so international and so highly skilled that was very interesting for us to keep in contact with everyone. I think that we have learned a lot of stuff. Probably we are not able today to apply everything, but now we have in our bags a lot of stuff that we that we can do in that way. And this is very important. I mean, from the program like this, the first point is to learn a lot of stuff and to get in connection with a lot of highly skilled professionals. And the goal was achieved 100%.
That's good. That's very good. So let me ask you the last question. Similar but different. What was the transformation as a team? You were almost working as a new team. You were working as a very experienced team. What has it changed? Because at the end of the day, one is your personal experience. The other one is like you go back to Western and you start talking. So what has changed as a team for you guys?
As I said before, we are a pretty young startup and also a pretty young team. Recently, we hired 3 new developers, and was really, really amazing doing the entire process with the guys. Of course, the tech team is composed by Ignazio Pedone, a great cybersecurity guy with international experience. But for myself and also for Paolo, the CEO, we learn how to approach people and trying to sell them the vision of the startup, and that's the most important thing.
So yourself?
On our side, I have to say that probably the previous times it was something that I've been passing through, or my partners, but not the whole team. I think in your method, what was very interesting, and my team loved it so much, that you said sometimes, okay, then we want the whole team to work together. And they say, wow. And this is very important. Now they are asking us many times, okay, why don't we approach in this way, this problem? And we do believe that this is a real an added value for everyone. So it's very, very important for us.
Good. So last question, guys. Aerium code in 3 years. I know it's YouTube and Netflix, but you have to be more specific. But how do you see yourself in 3 years? What is the picture, apart from working with those 3 museums? But what is more or less the vision in 3-5 years?
I think what we can achieve is to become in 3 years an international standard for at least monitoring all the artworks, because the way we are doing it is unique in the world. And if we run as fast as possible and we can reach also internationally other museums, we can really set up something that is unique and worldwide useful. So this is our main goal. If you can reach this one, I think all the rest can go in the right direction.
Follow up before the last one then. How can you run faster? Not them, because the museums will take the time, but can you do something different? Can you run faster?
I think so. We are growing very fast in this moment, also with new resources, new people in the team. And we are finding also in the customers, people really enthusiastic about our job. So what we are doing is, okay, if you feel that is something useful for you, why don't you call some of your colleagues in another museum and so on to say the same things? And this is working very, 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 very well.
Very good. So the network effect on the institutions. And yourself, Code, what do you see yourself in the years?
We want to become the standard in this specific market, because today there is no real perception of what producers and content creators can get from this copyright problem. And becoming the standard, it's something very, very important for the entire market. And in 3 years, as I said before, international market, but we have to deal with big customers, and that's exciting. Let's say this.
And we can never finish an event in Wise Guys without a question from Gleb, who is always monitoring us. And he sent a kind of a curveball there. He said, he's been talking about the Italian ecosystem. You've been part of it for a long time. You've been on the young side of the ecosystem. What do you think needs to change? Or what do you think is changing to make deep tech more relevant as an ecosystem in Italy?
I think first of all, we need more venture capitalists here. But with, I have to say, probably more something that is more an Anglo-Saxon approach, or something that you're doing in your country. But still in Italy, we are still doing venture capitalists like in the traditional way. And this is not going in the right way. So you need to approach startups knowing that you are gaining a lot of risk and you are putting a lot of money with high risk. This is basically, if you are asking to us to give all the guarantee that everything will go in the right direction, I think we are not a good company. But this is not the point. The point for us is that we are encountering people like you that say, okay, this is the point, we can invest in this, we know that the risk, but we are also investing in a lot of others because we want to grow up very fast. And so we can bet on you, on them, and so on. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the main point, because on the other side, we have a lot of professionists, we have skills, we have university, we have research, we have a lot of stuff, but not the correct approach for investment.
I'm going to say, no. I want to make it more difficult because you were thinking, but you can add it on this one and on the entrepreneurs mentality.
Yeah. I think we have great people here in Italy. Maybe sometimes they need to be more prepared on some stuff, on some approach. But of course, it's a general change. It's about entrepreneurs, investors, bureaucracy. There are several components. Of course, the entrepreneurs or founders in the beginning of the journey has to be more prepared in some ways. Yeah.
Okay, so more preparation, more appetite for risk at the VC level. Funny, I was reading before that venture capitalists are these days promising 1x, 2x because they're coming from private equity mentality. And as you said, no, you have to come with 10x mentality because you need to have a risk appetite that it pays off, right? And I think we need to change that. It takes some time. Well, I think
can I say just a bit more money in the Italian market?
More money.
A bit.
No, not a bit. A lot of money. Why a bit? If you have to ask for a lot of money.
Exactly. But I think if we get good startups, money will come. To me, I have never. I think the change of mentality is important, but I think we need to be role models. If we are producing good companies, money is not stupid. It might be slow sometimes, it might be conservative sometimes, but it's not stupid, right? So if we do good things, money is going to come, and I think we have amazing role models here in the room to do it. So let's set the standards for museums, for art, for counterfeits in a way. Let's set the standards for actually video protection. Let's get YouTube, Netflix, MoMA, British Museum, Musibatikam working with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you
for
very
being with
much.
us. Thank you for the last 6 months. It's been a pleasure, but I'm looking forward for the next 6 years at least and achieve those
Okay,
events. So
of course.
leave you guys with a small video. So we go with the publicity, right? So advertisements. So we'll let you with a small video and the last panel driven by Agita is coming up. So thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The thing that I love about the Wise Guys teams is that you guys have a knack for finding the most passionate founders. They know what they're doing, they believe in what they're doing, and nothing is going to stop them.
It is really intense, I have to say, but I really enjoy it because I feel every day I'm totally evolving in this program, and I see that I have so many weapons already.
It's challenging at times. We come with a strong background of doing a lot of things at once, but it's just amazing to be next to the teams, showing all the creativity you can to help them. So it's not something you have to deliver. It's very creative work, and that's what I'm very surprised, but I really like it.
I think the best of the people part always. You already know everything, but here the borders are infinite. Just so much things to learn.
One of them is the passion, and the other one is how much we care about each other. Among everything, we are a team that really likes to spend time with each other, and part of that is because we all share the mission.
Because I always had the feeling that this is the family that I have.
This is not a job. This is what we love to do. I think when you can mix that one, it's great. We just have to sometimes understand that, hey, there is more people around us that we have to put some time for them.
For us, it was mainly like a crash course startup MBA, basically, kind of. It's kind of like a bottle of good wine, kind of that keeps getting better all the time.
I mean, Wise Guys team is what keeps me energized through everyday life. When I started working with the startup scene, Wise Guys was my kind of entryway, so I feel like it's a family. I'm like an adopted startup Wise girl.
I just remember one scene from the Tech Chill 2 months ago when you had the demo day with Swedbank. Nearly all the startups were nearly crying when they said goodbye to the mentors. They can really feel the energy, and I think culture beats everything. And I also see Wise Guys as an execution machine.
Yeah, and people ask that why do you do that? There is no money, and very many accelerators have failed after a year or two. I believe that if you really want to do it, if it's your vision, and then you just can't give up, and you will figure it out how it works.
And you have to pitch on the big stage, right? Yes. My hands are already shaking.
It's too easy for us because this whole month startup Wise Guys, every day we pitching. It's easy for us.
Now we are only going up, and only the sky is the limit.
This love for what we do at the end of the day, and this is our life that we want to have.
I already know that when it's over, then I'm gonna cry.
3 minutes of stage and now back to work.
And we are back with the last panel.
Hello.
And the last panel will be about the topic on data security and data privacy, which is a broad topic, but luckily I have 3 startups working on it. The first startup, I would like to introduce Alex, sitting next to me. And I remember they actually got introduced to us by an investor in the network. And I think it was a week before the bootcamp. And we had a quick call and they agreed to come. We talked to them and we agreed to have them in the program. And they also said yes. So here we are now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Things happened extremely fast and we got on board really fast. And ever since, things have been developing really quickly. So thank you for having us. It was a great journey.
But what do you do?
Well, what do? We started with a really interesting problem. Everyone says that you have to fall in love with the problem. So the one that we identified is that 1 in 5 Europeans is a victim of identity theft. And it's no wonder because we leave our data everywhere online. Like the solution would be to start deleting, but no one knows where to start. So this is why we created Data Against Data, which is a platform that shows anyone which companies have their data and allows them to delete that data. At the same time, we also help the companies fulfill, document, and communicate that deletion. So anyone can go, even right now, on againstdata.com and see which companies have their data.
Sounds cool. I already gave my permissions.
Thank you for the trust. We promise we don't do anything funny with your data. We're as clean as a whistle.
Okay. As for the next startup, I would like to introduce to the stage, to sit with us, Praveen from FaceAdapter. And I remember Praveen actually, in summer before we started the program, I was meeting with a friend of a friend that I was recommended to talk in Geneva. And I think I talked to the friend, and we chatted about a lot of different things. And he said, "Oh, I'm working with one of the startups. They're pretty cool. Maybe you also want to," they're in cybersecurity. We were scouting at that time. And that's how I think we had our first call in August. And I remember Praveen was super serious in the call. I thought he's like super serious guy. And also in the selection bootcamp, you gave out that impression. But after 5 months, that's not the case. But Praveen, FaceAdapter. What is FaceAdapter?
At FaceAdapter, we are developing a multimodal AI-powered facial recognition software that can identify people of all demographics and gender on any device using any camera, accurately, safely, without any bias. So that's what we do.
Good. I'll have some questions later. And at the third startup, I would like to invite Carlos from Hertzien. And there's a story, because when we invited them for the selection bootcamp, they were actually called cryptography. Cryptography. Yeah. And I remember also talking to them. They're experienced founders. They already have like an exit under their belts, and they're doing something new. And I remember talking to them, and they're coming from Mexico. That was actually also far away from Europe, where we were having the program, even though it's online.
Just a little bit, yes.
Just a little bit. So they were doing the new startup, and I remember you were quite early stage still at the selection bootcamp. And I remember saying them, okay, this sounds cool, but we would love to see how you test it with people, with pilots, and let's talk again. And I think 2 weeks later, they did it. They sent me the list. We had another call. They were super organized, and now they're in the program. But now you're called Hertzien. So what is Hertzien?
So Hertzien is a hybrid IoT data security and privacy platform. So that means we provide companies with the hardware and software necessary to encrypt every bit of data a machine creates right at the point that it's created. And something that I particularly find very exciting about Hertzien is that with our technology, you can not only keep your stored data encrypted, but you can actually operate on encrypted data without ever having to decrypt it. And what's very exciting about that is that with the data being private and secure, it's easier to share it. And since IoT has the potential to actually gather data from real life interactions, you can actually have a lot of data that can shape the way that we live to make it a lot better and a lot more organized. And so it's an amazing thing, and I'm really excited to be working on it.
I'm super happy to see you so excited. And I remember when you first, I think it was you and your co-founder, Rodolfo, explained me what is homomorphic encryption. I think I get it. I truly think I get it. I will say that I get it. But it was quite cool.
Yeah, no, and the cool thing about that is that for us as humans, it's kind of hard to comprehend because it's not something that we can actually do. It's something that machines can do. But yeah, it's about operating on data without knowing what the data is. But you actually get results, and you can build on them and alter them without having to actually have the raw data in front of you decrypted. So it's kind of a mouthful. It's definitely a brain twister, but it's super exciting.
And you make it simple now for
everyone. At least for the companies.
That's good. But I had a question, because I think data privacy, data security has been quite not an issue. It could be also an issue, and it's a big topic, especially in the last years due to COVID. I think also GDPR regulation. I think also technology is always growing and developing. Because you all work with the startups in the last couple of years, so how you think that people awareness have shifted in the last years? Are they more aware or about the data privacy? Is it something that people care about?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. According to a European-wide study that was just finished at the end of 2021, the numbers are quite exciting. So about 40% of the young generation, like 18 to 35-year-olds, which have a good professional path, or their students, well, they're named now data citizens. And the data citizen is a person that knows their rights, their privacy rights, and have also acted on their privacy rights. So it's really interesting. People don't know this as much, but the numbers are growing every day, and the numbers are already big. Another thing that's very interesting, well, these data citizens, they choose the businesses that they use every day based on those privacy regulations and based on the privacy practices of the businesses, which means that now companies also have to comply a lot more than they used to, because it means that they're going to lose clients, and they're going to lose a lot of clients.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is that also thanks to several laws that are being placed in, that are being held in place. So even if you're not entirely conscious of what data you're sharing, you are a lot more conscious that you're actually giving away data, and that whatever interaction you have with a machine or a computer or even with your watch, it's creating data, and someone has it, someone is storing it. So there's a lot more consciousness on the people around. So it's definitely more on the forefront than it was.
That also, I have a question for Praveen, because you also work with the facial recognition, biometrics, and that's also kind of like one of the cool technologies where you kind of, you feel it's cool. You look at the phone, it unlocks, and you can use it also in other things. But I guess you just don't think about it, how maybe many people don't think about how much information they are giving away and how secure it is, like, for example, when you use it.
Just to comment on that, yeah, it's fun taking a selfie, posting your pictures, videos, but then there is always this thing called after effects, right? As Alex mentioned, coming back to that, and also Carlos mentioned, the data that we create is only going to open more doors for the hackers, fraudsters to steal your data. It means the more data we're creating, we're putting every user of each company, whether it's private, public, they're at risk. And that's why at FaceAdapter, for instance, we identify people without need for organizations, governments to identify their users, to just reuse what you have on the passports and IDs. For instance, Face ID creates a new type of image format. That is where the problem lies. And this is not accessible to the other people. But if it is even accessible, you cannot say this Igita's Face ID belongs to your ID. That's the basic problem today. We are bridging without creating a new data. So if all the companies can actually set a standard like, okay, how about giving the data control back to the users, it's going to build more trust. It's going to change the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. And when I think there's a lot of, like in the future, we already now see that the technology is like increasing and developing. And in the future, I think it only will happen more and more, that new technology, new devices, like newest watches, and or exactly, you can buy things with just your face, and then you send the data everywhere. But then also this security and privacy, you kind of don't really are aware when are you giving away. So how do you see, like, it kind of goes probably together with each of your company's ambitions. So where do you see in the future how you are helping to balance it out?
So in our case, as I said in the beginning, both Rodolfo and I are, well, he's a tech expert, but we're both enthusiasts as well. And we take that as, we see IoT giving the world a very big chance to have all of the data that is being harnessed, to use it to actually make the lives of people better. So whether if you've ever used one of a smartwatch to kind of keep track of your steps, you can consciously start saying, okay, I'm not walking that much. I need to go out a bit more. I need to exercise a little bit more. But you have data to act on that. So imagine that, but on a citywide scale or a retail-wide scale. So there's a lot of data that you can actually harness to make things run smoother, run better, and make really exciting changes. But for that to happen, we need to know that that data that is being harnessed is not only kept secure, but it's also private. You can't link it back to me directly, but you can have my insights, So that's definitely the steps or the direction that we need to be heading, so that people feel secure and comfortable that they are not being targeted, they are not being directly targeted, but they are actually helping in shaping the world around them in one way or another.
Yeah, and to add to that, I do believe that data has always changed the world, and that's great, and it's really important. But nowadays, I really believe that people should have the choice. So it's great sharing insights. It's great when a company, they say that they won't share it with anyone else and so on. And it's great when it's encrypted, but we also truly believe that the action of the user should generate that insight leaving the device rather than just everyone collecting everything and making promises. So this is what we try to do. We try to give users a choice. And when they're up for it, like 100%, because like you said, the Internet of Things will change the world. And we can't just stop sharing data, but at the same time, we need to do it consciously, and it needs to be an option.
Right, correct.
On top of it, we're already living in the age of deep fakes and 3D printing, where you can literally print his face or your face. You can manage to modify a video and a picture. That this is something that a lot of people are not aware, but just look at what's happening in Ukraine. There are fake videos of President of Ukraine delivering a wrong message. So this could happen in any other country, and it could trigger a war. So the way data is handled, how it is modified, where it is processed, where it is stored, matters today. And I think there's a long discussion, but I think this is one of the reasons why we do today.
Yeah, when you mentioned, of course, now the war, you can see a lot of cybersecurity issues, data privacy, all the things. But this is actually an interesting question, because maybe people sometimes don't know what kind of problems it can cause that you share your data. So each of you work with IoT, with biometrics, and data in general in the emails and what you share. So what are maybe your insights for, just share with everyone, what can you need to be careful for? What you see are the most common, mistakes about using unsecured data, for example. Like you're working with software and hardware, so you're not only securing the data when, it leaves my watch, but also probably then it's still here.
On the watch itself, yes.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very important for people to be aware of what they are signing up to. So at least if you're not entirely sure what you're signing over, so you at least know where it's supposed to be. So if you ever need to recall it or have any sort of control over it, you need to be aware where you're signing your data on. So stop clicking on everything that says I accept. And definitely also being very careful on how you handle your data and how you share it. Stop using, for example, open Wi-Fi spots to enter the bank and do transactions in an open area. Be a little bit more aware of using VPNs or something. Take more steps to protect yourself. It might be a little bit more cumbersome, but it's definitely worth it.
And even the simplest things like identity theft has been around for a while. I think that the first time it was documented was in the Bible. So people have been trying to pretend that there's someone else for a really long time. And they do that usually either to get out of a bad situation or to get money. And now it's easier than ever. Maybe 10 years ago, someone pretended to be you when they got a fine, like a driver's license fine or something. If you think all that data is out there, I'm pretty sure everyone knows someone whose card got hacked. Well, actually, they used the service. That service got hacked, and then, well, money disappeared from their account. And it can be anything, like identity theft can take so many forms nowadays. And this is just because we kind of leave our data everywhere. So all of us are kind of in the same boat at the moment. We kind of hope that it won't happen to us.
I have a quick question, because I trusted you with my Gmail access. So how, just wondering, like you said, that there's people don't maybe recognize how much of the data actually is out there. So you're checking with the companies. So how many companies, of course, you will probably, hopefully not know how many companies right on top of your head are, I have trusted my data, but on average, maybe other people. Because
yeah.
I think I'm not signing up for random things, but...
So yeah, it's really, really important to know that we don't do anything funny with any of the data. We went through a lot of security audits. Some of them are ongoing, and yeah, we're 100% safe. But apart from that, we can say that the average user has over 350 companies that hold their data. And actually, with the whole COVID situation, we all know that our everyday life, our offline life moved online. So everything that we used to do at the supermarket in real life, now we have 14 supermarkets online, and we gave the cards everywhere and so on. So the number is growing a lot every day. The numbers are way bigger than everyone expects usually, and it takes a little bit of time to kind of delete all that track. But the numbers are big.
But with facial data as well, like you go everywhere now, you get like scanned, even like when we entered the building. So are there any risks, or there's...
There are two types of risks. Risk for the corporates, risk for the users. Let's say everyone says, okay, we are GDPR compliant. So then what? Like, the question is that the question still behind GDPR compliance is, are you able to protect the data? You could say today the data, what we are not storing it. We are processing everything according to the compliance. That's one thing. But the other thing is, the data is visible. Today, you have LinkedIn profile, you have Facebook accounts. You might be caught up in somebody else's selfie in the background. Your still image is visible somewhere. And there are companies today, I won't mention the company's name, but just like Google, there's a Google for images. Literally, these guys can scan billions of images. So you don't know if somebody wants to find you, they'll find you anyways. So I do think that we should have a strong, not only regulation, but I think put pressure on the companies that have a specific standards applying. As Alex mentioned, users should be given the choice. Okay, users, today, if I sign up somewhere, I give my user consent. That doesn't mean that my data is protected. So this is where actually we have to work. And we startups are working on that.
Yeah, I was thinking now when you have scared everyone, you have solutions.
Yes, and I think that's an important thing to bring up. This is not Armageddon, it's not the apocalypse. It's just a wake-up call. We do need to be a lot more conscious of how we act online. And we also need to take care of ourselves. It's very good that there are laws being implemented for companies and governments to handle our data correctly, but it's also on our side. We as users have to be very careful of how we use our data. And hopefully startups like ours, services like ours, and cybersecurity awareness in general helps the people understand what they're putting out there, what can it be done with it, and so they're a lot more careful with their data because it's very valuable.
And actually, I have one advice to people who are online, signed up for many accounts, is that be aware that anything that is free today, whether it is Meta, Instagram, whatever, it's not a free service. They're using your data for something else. And actually, one of the researchers from MIT says that Facebook or Meta knows more about you and your wife when you're going to get divorced, or when you're going to find a new girlfriend, and what kind of girlfriend you want to find. This is incredible. They know much more than we do than ourselves. So,
and on that note, I just have to say that there is one service out there that is free and does not know which your next girlfriend would be, and that's called Data Against Data. But yeah, we don't.
Good segue. Good segue. Yeah.
Good segue. Yeah, again, we don't want to scare anyone. It's just like things are changing. They're changing for the better. Everything is transforming, but yeah, we see a bright future.
Yeah. I actually have a question for Alex. Very specific one. I think you might have a customer somewhere in the audience. Can data subjects submit their data erasure request through your platform? And how is the process of data deletion implemented?
Sorry, can
a data subject submit a request to delete through your data?
Yes, this is using really specific language. This is exactly what we do. So anyone can just go on our platform and they will be able to submit this so-called data deletion request, which is basically an email, a letter that just asks a company, hey, this is me, please delete all the data that you have on me. So yeah, this is the core of what we do.
Okay, so you can now go back to the YouTube history and check who wrote the question. But I think that's it. I'm seeing the signs that we have to maybe finish up, but just maybe a last question, more now on the startup topics, because everyone hopefully is listening. Also, some startups that maybe want to do something, go to fundraise or start a startup. What would you suggest, maybe through the program as well? You got a lot of learnings. What is kind of the main learning maybe you would like to share with everyone? Something that was surprising for you? I don't know, some light bulb moment.
I can start. For me, what's important was when I started the program, I was a single founder. I have a co-founder now. But most important, after joining the program, I never felt alone, and all the founders actually really helped lift my enthusiasm more and more every day. So every meetup we had weekly with the mentors, with program coordinators, directors, including you, Farid, and everyone, we all felt we have something in common. That is, we have common values. We have found like-minded founders. That was like the most amazing thing. I've been before working in a startup. I haven't come across such a culture in so-called accelerators. And that's why I'm not chasing Y Combinator.
In my case, as you said, Rodolfo and I have been through startups before, through accelerators before as well. And we kind of know what sort of metrics and performances are expected of us at different points as a startup. But one thing that was very different for me this time around was the focus that Startup Wise Guys places on the founders and the people behind the company. Not only because they need to be comfortable when running the company and all that, but actually in supporting them and bringing their ideas for the best example I can think of is when we actually decided to pivot. We were like 2 months into the program, so it was not at the very start. We actually had 2 months running with our idea, and we decided to pivot. And I was actually very hesitant on how to announce a pivot because I thought we were going to be, maybe it's not the correct word, but we were going to be scolded. Like, I mean, we've already spent 2 months on this, and now you want to reel it back to zero. But rather than that, we found that both the rest of the founders and the program directors and everyone was extremely supportive, and they actually applauded that we found something that we could actually tweak and make better. And then they helped us a lot in actually bringing it to kind of get in line with the rest of the companies that did not have to pivot. So that was one of the things that kind of really stuck to me. Besides, there are more things in a company besides metrics and the growth. I mean, that's super important. It's what makes a company, but not to lose focus on the people behind that. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting. For me, I think the biggest thing was when Cristobal said you're building a company, you're not building a product. And I think that's changed the way that we were looking at things. And that helped us grow as a team. And it helped our business grow, but we changed the mindset. And we were also looking very carefully at creating that culture. And I feel like people want to be around us. And like I don't know, we interact very well. I'm very proud of the team that we created using that mindset. So, hey everyone, you're amazing.
Hi, Mom.
Well, one last thing.
My mom's not part of the team, I have to say. Maybe she can learn to code. I don't know.
One last thing I actually want to comment on the program also, like also other startup aspiring founders who wants to get into any kind of program verticals with Wise Guys, is that a lot of founders think before that, I know this, I have figured out what is my market, what is that, what is this. But I'll tell you that actually 90% we didn't know any shit. Excuse me, my French. So during the program, we did figure out a lot of things, and kind of Wise Guys program was like challenging our status quo. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See, I told you, he's serious at the beginning, but then he opens up a little bit more. But with that, I know that I need to tell, that's it. That's the 8 startups. I hope you enjoyed listening to us and you learned a lot. We scared you maybe a little bit, but I hope we also provided some solutions. And 2 things from me, just to wrap it up, I want to say thank you to everyone who's listened, who asked the questions. If you wish to talk to some of the startups more and maybe invest or mentor or give advice or buy the product, let us know. We will send in more information and way how to contact them. And also, if someone is listening who wants to do a startup, or you have a startup and want to be an accelerator, remember Cristobal said we're scouting also for our upcoming batch. But with that, thank you so much for listening to us. But please don't leave. We have a very special video just now to wrap it up, to see, to give you a little bit of insights how we actually were living during the batch. Thank you so much.
Do you see my screen? Perfect. Here we go again. Here we go again. Let's talk about cybersecurity. Can you see my screen? Perfect. Here we go again. Here we go again. Let's talk about cybersecurity.
It's finally over, or it's finally begun? You don't know yet. Just remember, it gets more and more fun.
It all started here, at this desk. Workshops, mentoring, books, notes.
Congratulations!
During the last 5 months, there was any new member of CodeRTD. You never saw him, but I want to show him to you. Ciao, Cody.
For all pet lovers, now you can have an octopus, a distinguished animal. The program was delivered up to the highest standards. From mentors and the team, SWGT, to the workshops and the events. All this technical stuff in Cyber Angels has been redesigned to be able to challenge the international market. So, guys, I'm very happy to have met you, and thanks for your time and your passions.
Thank you for the mentors, for all their constructive feedback, and a special thank you for the founders, my peers from this cyber batch. Thanks everyone. Ciao, and see you soon.
Thank you, Startup Wise Guys, for supporting us and build the network from all over the world, from Australia to Mexico to Europe and the Middle East.
Remember, wine after sales. Before that, only water.
What the heck?
One thing that has really stuck out to me during this journey is the sheer resourcefulness of the Startup Wise Guys team. If you want a clear example, just ask the Mexican guy how he got his Armenian medical insurance.
And I feel connected with them because we all share the same pain, values, and that's what makes us family. And the reason I'm telling this today is I'm thankful to Wise Guys and all the founders who shared the experiences. I'm only looking forward to give back to the community of the Wise Guys and the future founders. Thank you so much and love you guys.
Congrats! It's finally over. You will always be my first batch. It was great to have worked with you all this month, and I wish you the best things that it can happen to you. And you know I love you.
New York, Dubai. My first flight after the COVID pandemic was for Viva Valencia, and then going to Rende near Cosenza to meet all the other people from the other startups and the amazing guys from Startup Wise Guys.
Don't break my glasses, guys.
It was a pleasure to spend 5 months with you, and I know it's only the beginning. So we will keep talking, you will keep selling, and you will become the next unicorns.
Again. No, that's wrong. For all your vendors. Yes.
Congrats, Cyber guys. You've made it, so wish you the best for the upcoming challenges and see you around. Cheers.
So go out there, do your best, be a unicorn, and don't forget us.
Good luck, guys. Beat the bad boys and make some sales. Go!